Knowledge management is what is going to stop you suffering from information overload. In the past 3 decades, more words have been churned out than in the previous 5 millennia. Every day, more than 1,000 books are published in English, and nearly 20 million words are recorded. It would take the average reader 8 hours a day for 4 to 5 years to consume just 1 day's output of information. Employees today are having to wade through ever-increasing mountains of information, much of which is out of date, contradictory, or irrelevant. You could liken finding the nugget of information that will serve as a competitive advantage to finding the proverbial needle in a haystack. Fortunately today, this information overload can be organized, and MAID is one British company using and developing intelligence systems to categorize and organize electronic data to assist in knowledge management and prevent information overload. It would obviously be very difficult for me today to illustrate such a focused and individually specific tool, but what I can do is give you an illustration of the alerts that were set up for my own personal interest yesterday. And if we can just switch it to the screen, what you see here is my desktop of my computer, and what happens is when a story comes out on the news wires, it'll pop up on the screen with a scrolling ticker to notify me of, I just set it going, it will notify me of the stories as they come in. Now, regardless as to what I'm working on, I'll just close that down, a story will pop in, and for example, here's a story scrolling across the top of the screen. By double-clicking on it, I'm able to review that story and read it in its entirety. So this came in through Business Wire yesterday about a partnership, which was something that I was tracking on internet collaboration, and the story comes in immediately. I can view it. Having viewed it, I can close down the application, carry on with my business, and within a few seconds another story will pop up on the screen here, but in reality it's about a few hours before any new stories come in. But it enables me to react immediately to a story as it arrives and not have to wait until the following day's newspapers to see if there's any new stories of relevance. Oh, I think I've closed the application down, so we'll come back. We'll take that off the screen. So not only can you now find the needle in the haystack within seconds, you can also determine where the needle was made, how many needles were manufactured, percentage of steel production allocated to needles, the market size for needles, needle distribution, and customer demographics, all within a matter of seconds. And you can do this for not much more than the cost of a prawn sandwich from Marks & Spencer, although it will be even fresher and far more valuable to your corporate strategy. So let's just briefly go back to the 50s again. If an important piece of information appeared in an internally circulated newsletter, you could easily have found yourself bumping into a colleague in the corridor 2 days later who might not have seen it. This was acceptable corporate behavior at the time, but it cannot be considered even remotely acceptable today. Let's look at this from a customer's point of view. Last weekend, I wanted to buy a specialized organizer software package I was interested in. It was 11:15 at night, and I connected to the internet. Within a matter of minutes, I had identified all the current products on the market and visited the producers' homepages. I read independent reviews of the various packages from authoritative magazines and journals, and I was even able to read customers' opinions on their use of the products themselves. The time now, 11:30 at night. My cocoa was getting cold, and I was just about ready for bed. Within another few minutes, I was able to determine all the current prices, and it became very clear to me that there was a major discrepancy between European and US pricing. In the UK, the package was £99, and in the US, the package was $99. This was nothing new to me because I've known for many years that there are significant price differences which I've always lived with. But the idea that retailers have always been profiting from my geographical misfortune was somewhat distressing. Now, this is no longer the case. Within minutes of choosing the most appropriate package for me, I was able to order it on the spot and then download it in its entirety. The product included all manuals, and the electronic retailer left me feeling very satisfied and well serviced. I even received a thank you note via email. This new way of shopping is not just restricted to software. Books, music, perishable goods, cars, even homes are now being actively sold and promoted on the internet. You would be amazed at what you can now buy across the internet. Hong Kong-made shirts, black puddings from Lancashire, almost anything you can think of. And because, as we all know, the US is renowned for service and choice, in this global shopper's paradise, why should anyone put up with, "We ain't got it in stock, mate"? Napoleon said, nearly 200 years ago, that Britain was a nation of shopkeepers. Today, Britain is in danger of becoming a nation of shop losers. Today, US companies are significantly ahead of their British competitors in the utilization of information as an important, indeed critical, part of their business armory. Over 70% of the top 1,000 US companies have adopted knowledge management strategies and are actively using them to further their businesses. This compares with only 15% of Britain's top companies. My message to you today is go back to your offices and find out about your internal knowledge management strategy and determine if it is fit for the future. Because if it isn't, your US-based competitors who are actively using information as a competitive weapon will smother you, and potentially all businesses who do not take immediate action to compete on the same terms. Albert Einstein said, "Genius is knowing where to look." Today, I say, competitiveness is knowing where to look. You cannot win a fight without the appropriate weapons. Go back and make sure that you have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. I must confess that only about 3 weeks ago, I was on the net late at night and bought some books on a Tuesday night. They were delivered on Saturday for less in dollars than in pounds in this country, all the way from Seattle, and now it is really becoming a reality.